everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be going over how to make an openable treasure chest in Miliastra Sandbox. We are going to first get started by going to the prefab library and going into dynamic unit, then opening gameplay mechanism and looking up the word chest. You can use any of these chests. I'm going to use an exquisite chest just for the example. Then personally, I like to go into native collision and turn off climbable just so you can't just like climb the chest. It's a little annoying. You can leave that on if you'd like to, but you don't have to. The next thing we are going to do is come over to the third tab right up here and click Add Common Component, which we are going to add a tab. A tab is essentially this thing right here. When you walk up to the chest and you get close enough in the range, it'll give you an option to click on this tab by pressing F or just by clicking on it, depending on what device you're on. And what we are going to do is we're going to rename this Open Chest, just so you know what the tab does when you walk up to it. And I'm going to change the icon to a chest just for clarity. And then we are going to go to Open Option Trigger and make it a sphere, just so it's easier to reach it. You can make it a square if you want to, and just make it bigger, but it's really difficult to reach if you don't make it bigger, so I'm going to make it a sphere. You can also resize it with the radius, so I can make it 2, but I'm going to just keep it at 1, just so it's not too big, and that is that. Later on, we are going to add a node graph to this, but for now, I'm just going to save this prefab as chest, and we are going to confirm that. The next thing we are going to do is make our primogems. If you come over to here where it says object prefab right next to that, and you go down to, you can find the loot tab. I'm going to go down to preset loot category, add a challenge coin, and then I'm going to go into here and I'm going to change the main object model by clicking on this challenge coin loot, and I'm going to change it to a crystal, which you can just search, and I'm going to change it to probably this luminescent crystal just because it looks fancy. And I'm going to change the name to primogem. The name for this one is not important. You just need to be able to remember what it's called. You could name it anything. It's not going to show up anywhere. You just need to know what it's called. You are then going to want to add a loot factor, but we can't do that just yet without making an actual item to add to it. So we're going to do that right now, right after I explain how the pickup works. You can either do an interactive pickup, which is so you press a tab to pick it up. You can do an auto pickup, so you just have to walk over it to pick it up. Open interface pickup, which I haven't tested out very much yet, so you can test that on your own, or auto attract pickup, which I believe just drags it towards you so you can pick it up. I'm going to go with interactive pickup, but you can choose any of those that you'd like. You can make the pickup range so it's like a little bigger so you can reach it a lot easier, but I'm just going to keep it as is because it is a small item. It does not need to be that big. Then you are just going to come down here and save that as a loot item, and you're good to go. Next, we are going to come over to our combat preset, and we are going to add a common component called inventory. You can select the inventory template. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. And then we are going to go down to the item menu. This is just the inventory variant of your physical primogem you just made. You're going to want to name it. You can set it as normal item or equipable. I would recommend setting it to normal item. You can put it in a tab if you want to, just to organize it, and then you can set it to the rarity. I personally like to do orange for these because they're like a rare item. A primogem is a rare item, so that's what I'm doing. You can edit how many you want in each stack, which I'm just going to keep it at 999 because we want the max. You can also set which tab it should show up in. I personally like it to be in the very special items tab, and you can also set a description which will just show up and explain to the players what it is they are holding. I'm going to name it Genshin Impact Gacha currency, and you can also edit if it's a currency or not, which I'm going to leave that as is. And down here you can add a loot appearance, which you are going to want to select the loot you made earlier for the primogem in the prefabs library. And personally, I'm going to turn off destructible and tradable as well as usable. You can leave those on if you need them for something, but personally I do not. Now I'm going to go over to entity placement and place down our chest as well as where you want the primogem to spawn once the chest is opened. We're also going to go back over to the primogem in our prefab library, and you're going to connect that to your item primogem that you just made over in the items category. Now, if we move back to the entity placement, you're going to want to place down your 3D primogem and make note of the location it's at, not the rotation. The rotation is not that important, at least for this application, but you're going to want to make sure to make note of the numbers on the location because you're going to need those in a second. We're going to go over to add a node graph to our chest, which we are going to now hop over to Miliastra Sandbox to do now. We are now over in Miliastra Sandbox, and I'm going to create a new tab, a new folder called Exploration, which will be our first folder. You don't have to make this folder, but it is useful so you know where your different node graphs are and you don't get lost. So let's create a new node graph. Let's rename it Chest, and let's open it up. we're going to type in the word tab, and we're going to do the event node called when tab is selected. We are going to connect that to a create prefab node, which we can quickly search up and add it, and connect that to there. We're going to go back to Genshin Impact and quickly grab the prefab ID. You do not want to grab from this over here because this is going to give you a geo ID. You want to grab the prefab ID of this right here. And you're going to copy that, and then you're going to head back over to Miliastra Sandbox. You're going to want to paste that into the prefab ID, and remember those numbers with the location earlier? You're going to want to write those down here. So 0.02, which should be 0.02. Oh gosh, I messed up. And 0, and I don't remember the last one, I think it was 413, but I'm going to double check that really quickly. All right, now that we've got the numbers for the location, we can just write 0, 0, 0 for the rotation. For the owner entity, you can leave that as is, and for overwrite level, you're going to write no. Next, you're going to add a node called set preset status, which you can just look up set preset, and then get this node right here. And I'm going to connect these. Target entity should be connected to event source entity. And preset status index should be set to a number over in Genshin. If we come back over to Genshin and we look at the chest, if you go to model and you open up preset status a little bit, you'll see this number right here, which you're going to want to copy, and you're going to want to head back over to there and paste that into the preset status index, and you're going to want to write preset status value as 1. What the preset status is doing is when you set the preset status as 0, it is closed. When you press the preset value to 1, it goes and opens the chest. So what that's going to do is essentially set the preset status to 1, and it'll open the chest for you when you click the tab. Now that we've set the preset status, we can get another node called activate/disable tab, which I'm just going to connect to this because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter where I connect it. It's just for ease of access. I'm going to add it there. We're going to connect the target entity to event source entity. We're going to get the tab ID to the tab ID and activate, and we're going to write no because we basically want to make it so you can't spam this button. So once the tab is selected, it'll go through this, and then it'll disable the tab so you can't click it and click it and click it and get a million Primogems. Now that that's done, I actually want 5 Primogems to come from this chest. So I'm actually going to copy this and just repaste it a few times. It's going to be kind of messy if you want to do it like this, like I'm doing, but that is okay. I do get a little laggy when I have too many nodes, so you're going to have to keep that in mind. I apologize. So we're going to save that. We're going to hop right back over to Genshin, and we are going to go into our prefab and go to the chest and go to the node graphs and add that node graph to our chest and overwrite and save prefab. After that, we are going to test it out by, first of all, deleting this right here because that's not actually supposed to be there. And we are going to go test play. I'm going to direct upload it. I am personally going to turn off these 2 settings because they just slow you down and make you take a little longer in the settings. You don't actually need them. This one can be useful for sometimes, but this one is just going to slow you down. So I'd recommend turning that one off, and I'm going to start game. Now that we are in, we can walk over to here, open the chest, and it'll spawn 5 Primogems for us. And we can pick those up. You can also remove the collision on those Primogems, which I might do. But as you can see, that is exactly what we wanted to happen. And I thank you all for watching. And I hope this was helpful, and I really do, because it took me like 3 recordings to get this done because I kept having recording issues. I'm so sorry. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!